Welcome back to the Balancing Act podcast. I'm Andy Temte. On the Balancing Act, we talk to business leaders and industry experts to explore the balancing acts we play in our professional lives and learn about the events that put rocket boosters behind their career success. Today, we have Bianca D'Alessio joining us. Bianca is one of the top real estate brokers in New York. She's a global speaker and the author of the new book, Mastering Intentions, 10 Practices to Amplify Your Power and Lead with Lasting Impact. Welcome to the show, Bianca.
Thanks so much for having me on. I'm really excited to be here.
Awesome. Well, I ask all of my guests this question at the top of the show. Give us the elevator pitch of your story.
So I am currently a real estate broker, one of the top in New York City, but the story, of course, starts long before that. I was raised in a very close-knit, tight Italian family in New York City. We're taught family is everything and women should be strong and powerful and stoic. I have been ingrained in me from a young age. When I was 8, my parents got divorced. And that's where I started to experience my love for writing because it was the only way that I could channel and process my thoughts and my emotions. Never thought or aspired to be a writer then. It was just merely a vehicle for expression. I was never a straight A top student, but I loved people and I've always loved people, connecting with people. Had an intense curiosity for traveling the world, and I had the incredible pleasure of doing that for a while. I've lived in 7 or 8 different countries. I worked in some of them, studied in a lot of them. And then following college, I found my space working in the non-for-profit world, doing leadership development with women. It was during that year that I was trying to figure out what is next for me. All of my friends had entered their corporate jobs, and I, again, wasn't that top student. Didn't think I could break into that. And everyone's like, get your real estate license. You'll be great with people. So that's what I did. My first year in real estate was worse than working for that nonprofit the year prior, as it is with most salespeople. And I realized the big thing that I really needed to focus on was my confidence. A few years later, ended up getting my groove, which is in the new development space. And that's my main business. So I work with developers building real estate. Then COVID happened. My whole business collapsed overnight. Found myself pivoting to the Hamptons. Was approached to be on a TV show, Selling the Hamptons, which is where I reached that next kind of rocket fuel fire of my career. Started my own company, and now I'm 4 years into my own business. I run one of the largest real estate teams across the entire country. I manage a $10 billion portfolio and wrote a book about intentional leadership and how we co-create life with people and learn to understand the journey that has gotten us to where we are today.
Awesome. Well, we're going to talk a lot about that. You used the rocket fuel, the accelerant. What's one event in your life? Was it getting on the TV show, or was it something else that was just a real accelerant for your career?
So I believe the accelerant comes after like the rock bottom for me. And as we talk, you'll hear that I'm very much about being authentic and vulnerable to experience those inflection points. So when I was in my mid-20s, my father was convicted of a financial fraud. And so why I start back with the journey of that close-knit Italian family, always stoic, my whole identity was shattered overnight. His business collapsed. We lost all of our money. And it was that real awakening of who am I as a person? How do I define myself? Where do I want to go? Now, granted, that's not what it was at that point in time, because it was right now, I was like, how do I survive? And I lived in that survival mode for a really long time. But that became the catalyst for me recognizing, one, how quickly things could change in life, how important your reputation is, and 2, the type of leader I wanted to be and the type of business owner I wanted to be and how important values were. And so it was with all of that it crafted and shaped, how do I want to inspire people to come together, to build stronger business, to lead with a value forward business, and then also recognizing the fragility of the business ecosystem that we live in. You could build and you could aspire and you could grow, but if you're not doing it with the right people or values first, it could all be unraveled overnight.
Yeah, I looked at the soft copy of your book when it showed up in my inbox, and I was absolutely thrilled that what I would define as chapter one is all about purpose. If you look at some of my writing, you'll see that a lot of it is wrapped around this concept of defining and rooting yourself in your purpose. But a lot of folks don't do that work. If you walk up to an average person on the streets of Brooklyn where you are right now and said, what's your personal purpose? A lot of them would scratch their heads and go, gosh, I've never thought of that before. So why is defining personal purpose important for our listeners? And what's the big challenge that you face when you avoid or neglect defining purpose?
So I think so much of what I believe is people ask me all the time about how I built my business and my idea of work life balance. And I tell them I don't believe in it because I believe that when you live purposefully in life, you find a way to intermingle the two. And I think that's such a big disassociation that we have in our society today is that like you show up to work and then you want to clock out and then you want to go home. And if you don't find purpose in your work, or if you don't find purpose at home, or you don't find a way to align the two together, it's this constant checking in and checking out, or having resentment or anger or frustration when you're doing the thing that you don't want to be doing. And so that's why purpose is so important, is for why work is what we do most of our life with, right? How do we find and root that into why we are doing it for our families? So when we are stepping into the two spheres that we live in, it doesn't feel like it's two disassociated worlds. You combine them all, and so it all becomes connected. So you find that alignment and that centering within yourself. That's why purpose has become so important to me. Not that necessarily everything that I'm always doing is the most purposeful thing, but if I know that it's on the track to what I am trying to work towards, it becomes part of the process. And it almost becomes like, what am I learning from this at each step and each point in time?
Yeah, I have this phrase, the emotional suit of armor that we, in the old world where we didn't align our personal purpose with the work that we were doing, we had to walk into the office with this clunky suit of armor on and really be somebody that we're not. It limits our, imagine being in a suit of armor. Your emotions are limited, etc. So I really appreciate what you said there. Tell us about your book, Mastering Intentions.
Yes.
What does it mean to master intentions? And like any good song, I'm a musician, if a reader can only take away one thing from engaging with your book, what would that be?
The most important thing, and that I hope that comes out of this book, is that everyone realizes that every reader realizes that you have the power within yourself from all of the life experience you've already had, all of your highs and all of your lows. They've shaped you to the person that you are today. And you could change the trajectory of your life at any point in time. Now, I'm not saying it's going to be easy. It's definitely not going to be easy, but it is within your control, because the most important asset that you will ever have in the world, you already have. And it's right here. It's your mind. Your mind shapes and crafts every experience, the perception that you have of other people, the relations, the way that you respond. All of it is within your control. And so I think in a world where we live, where we feel like so many things are out of our control, I want people to realize that it is. It is within your control. It's just a matter of reframing and reshaping and taking ownership over that.
What are some of the tools that you like to use to bring yourself back to center, to bring yourself back to in purpose and intentionality? I like to wake up in the morning when I'm brushing my teeth. I look at myself in the eye and say, okay, we're going to get after it today. We're going to be very intentional. That 2 minutes with the toothbrush as it's going through its 4 cycles, it's that connection with myself.
Yes.
What do you like to do?
Oh my gosh. Well, first I do the same. I talk to myself in the mirror every single day. I swear by it. Like positive. So
Yeah.
positive self-talk is one of the most important things that I write about. Well, I guess they're all important, but like to me,
Right.
like positive self-talk is so important. Um, as we go through life, we experience these different moments of doubt. And, someone once, I was working with a coach once who said, I was trying to prepare myself to be on a news segment. And I kept saying, like, I'm not smart enough and I'm not good enough. And she's like, why are you letting your brain bully you?
Right.
And I fall in this trap all the time of like, my brain says, like, Bianca, you're not smart enough. You don't deserve to be here. You're not worthy of this. You can't be loved like that. What gave you the seat at the table? That is inherent in us, is that brain bully. Whenever,
Yeah.
especially as leaders, as we start to level up, as we get in more impressive rooms, as we deal with more money, as we manage more people, who gave us this control? How did we get here? But no, we are exactly where we are meant to be, and we have to work to actively silence that. So positive self-talk is so important. And the way that I structure it and frame it in the book is finding that anchor, and negating the negative talk, finding the positive way to spin it, and then giving it, again, that purpose or that rooted position of the validation for why that actually exists, putting yourself back in fact versus in story. So that's a practice that I exercise every day. And beyond doing it with myself, I do it with my team
Mm.
when we're going into a big meeting. Because if it's not me who's thinking it, if we're all thinking it in our head, the silent brain bully, how do you make sure that everyone else feels prepared, feels amped? You have to be a cheerleader for yourself, but it's my responsibility as a leader to be a cheerleader for everyone else. So how do you give them how do I give my people the tools to do that for themselves? Of we deserve this business. We deserve to be here, and walking and coaching them through that.
Yeah. Well, it's a great segue. You use the word teamship in
Mhm.
your book. What does teamship mean to you, and how can it benefit the business leaders who are listening in right now?
So what I was finding as I was writing this book, so many of the self-help books, or self-help practices are very introspective. What could I do for me? But the reality is, when you're on the process of self-development and self-growth, in life, life is not a self journey. We co create life with all of the people around us. And so we have to bring our companions along on that journey with us, our partners, our the people who report up to us, or who we report to. And so this concept of teamship is, how are we co-creating life with the people around us, and how do we help them to understand and see our vision, to exercise and to experience the self-help and the self-growth on the journey with us, so we could all work in tandem with one another to become better, to become stronger, uh, and to experiences the frequency waves that we're going to experience as we are growing and changing and shifting and developing.
Well, thank you for that, Bianca. We're going to take a really short break, and we'll be right back with Bianca D'Alessio talking about purpose, intention, and confidence. Want to understand money, markets, and the economy to make better financial decisions? I'm Andy Temte. Join me every Saturday morning for Money Lessons with Andrew Temte on YouTube or your favorite podcast streaming service. And we're back with Bianca D'Alessio talking about purpose, intention, and confidence. Bianca, you manage a $10 billion real estate investment portfolio. You star on Selling the Hamptons. You've written a book. How do you maintain humility, gratitude, and authenticity in the face of what, frankly, a lot of people would consider an unattainable level of success?
Um, Listen, I am so aware that everything I've worked for can be lost overnight. Uh, and so I work every single day continuing to show up for myself and show up for the people around me. And that's definitely what gives me humility. That's definitely what helps put the ego into a box of, like, you are never, there's no such thing as too big to fail. Like, you could fail at any point in time. And what's grounded in that is the way that I show up has to be authentic. The way that I show up has to be vulnerable, because that is what the root of all of the connections are. That is where I've done my best business. And so, remembering who I am and where I've come from, how hard I've worked and how quickly it could be lost. And then also like my responsibility to all of the people that I'm building and growing with is what keeps me grounded every day.
Yeah, I love that you're tying this back to the people that are around you, this concept of teamship, co-creating together that you talked about right before the break is really powerful stuff. So let's translate that into a mentorship moment. I've just added these to the show. So you've got a recent college grad sitting right in front of you right now. They follow your work. They watch you on Selling the Hamptons. They want to make a big impact in their career. They want some advice from you, but you just got a couple of minutes together. What do you tell them?
Know who you are as a person and what you stand for. And then show up every single day. Bring that to all of the conversations that you have. Stop worrying about chasing the thing that looks really fancy and shiny and that you want to get in the future. The most important thing that you could do at this age is to work on yourself, to become the best version of you, and to be super authentic in the conversations and the relationships that you have with other people. You do that, that's your reputation, that's your brand, and that will carry with you for life.
Yeah, it's such a great lesson that you're giving our listeners today, especially our hypothetical college student, that authenticity and vulnerability can translate into big success. Is probably as long as you keep yourself grounded, but you've created a big career and you lead with that authenticity and vulnerability. It's very, very cool. Bianca, I'd be remiss if we didn't talk about Selling the Hamptons. My dear friend Shelley Downer up in Minneapolis, who is all things, all reality TV all the time. I love her.
Hi,
I love
Shelley.
her to. Yeah, I love her to death. She'll be listening to this show. Let's talk Selling the Hamptons. Take us behind the scenes. No names, no name dropping, but what's your why behind your involvement in the show? That's number one. And number two is, what's something that most viewers don't realize that it takes to get an episode off the ground?
So my why for this show, first of all, I never had like a goal or an aspiration to be on reality TV. But when the opportunity came to me, like I thought I would regret it more if I said no for what it could be. Because honestly, I was terrified. I was so scared to say yes because putting your whole life on TV is scary.
Yeah.
Um, but like I went into it with if I can just be myself, maybe I could find more power in my story. Maybe I could best connect with people. And also like I wanted then as the show started to progress, like I wanted to help inspire young striving entrepreneurs to realize like you don't have to chase the big thing. Like I just said, like focus on the work, take care of the work, keep showing up. You don't need to, it doesn't need to be dramatic. You don't have to get into the pettiness and the nonsense of the drama. Like take care of your clients. And so that's very much what I try to emulate on the show, which is very much how I am in person, is like everything else is background noise. Focus on yourself and staying in your lane, and the rest of it works out. And what people would absolutely not know about reality TV is that it takes about 4 hours of filming for about 2 hours of TV time. So it is an insane amount of filming and content and you have no control. So there was a lot of like trusting the process of
Yeah.
like show up, be me, and hopefully they edit it to look like me. And for me, they did a great job.
Wow, it's a very, very cool story, and yes, if Shelley Downer could start the Real Housewives of the Upper Midwest from Minneapolis, she would be the star of that show.
Shelly, reach out to me. Let's talk about it.
All right, excellent. So Bianca, what have we not talked about today that you want to make sure that listeners take away from this conversation?
So I think one of the biggest things that I've realized as a leader and as a business owner, and the misconceptions that I had was that I thought other people had a playbook. And I just want to like shut that down immediately. You know, anyone who's been on their leadership journey as they're looking to other people, like there is no playbook for it. And so much of it is trusting your gut and is the self-work. And I know from early on, and when I was starting my business, it was really, really hard struggling with imposter syndrome and the responsibility of taking care of people and the weight of markets shifting and changing. And the best thing that you could do is like focus on how do you give back to yourself, work on your skills, because that 100% spreads to everyone else around you and will make them more productive, more inspired, and more connected to the work that they're doing.
That's great. Before we go to our lightning round questions, if you can tell us what's the most interesting project that you're working on right now in your real estate business? What's just got you super excited?
Oh gosh, I'm working on so many development projects right now. But there's a specific client that I'm working with right now, and we're really beefing up his portfolio. And so my business, I work with developers from site acquisition. I help them build and design and plan buildings. And then my team handles all the sales and marketing. And so being involved in that from the start is so exciting. But then being not just of one project, but then being alongside our developer clients and watching as their portfolios grow and watching as they step into the next level of their own development journey is incredibly, incredibly rewarding. And so we're kind of at that inflection point with a developer that I've been working with for about 2 years now, of where seismically about to level up. And so I'm very excited for that.
That's excellent. Well, are you available for some lightning round questions?
Oh, of course.
Excellent.
Let's do it.
Question number 1, you've just won a $100 million lotto jackpot, but there's a stipulation that half of your net winnings go to one philanthropic organization or a general cause. Who do you pick?
Oh, it would definitely be an organization and a charity that does teaching, because I think that education at the high school and middle school ages, especially for financial literacy, is really lacking. So that's what I would focus on.
Excellent. Number 2, you have access to a really small time machine and you can send a message to an earlier version of Bianca. What is the message and what previous version do you send it to?
It would probably be my 12, 13-year-old self who was really struggling with my mental health and depression at that point in time. And to recognize that it gets better and to keep hanging on, and to be strong and to be brave, for sure.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, Bianca, we're all works in progress, all developing. What are you focused on right now in your personal journey of growth?
Oh, my personal journey of growth. A handful of things, but right now I would say I'm focusing on how I help create more community and more impact through what I've done here, through the book, but taking it to a bigger scale. I really want to get the message out there about leadership through authenticity and vulnerability, and I want to help bring other entrepreneurs who have had that success forward to hear their stories, because I think that that's so impactful. And so I'm trying to really lean into that, to have more of these conversations and to give people a safe space to share their stories as well.
Excellent. Yes, psychological safety is paramount. Bianca, you've been an absolutely delightful guest today. Where can folks get a hold of you?
Oh, you could find me way too frequently on Instagram. Like you could tag along for the whole day. So Instagram, Bianca D'Alessio, LinkedIn, I'm very active on, as well as other social media platforms. But if you want to find more about the book and more resources and training, biancadalessio.com.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much for being here today.
Thanks for having me on. This is awesome.
Awesome. My name is Andy Temte. This is the Balancing Act podcast. You can find us on all the major streaming services as well as out on YouTube. Please like, subscribe, rate, and most importantly, share this public good with your friends, neighbors, colleagues, family members, and your cousin. So, the show is produced by Nicholas Temte. We'll see you next time on the Balancing Act.